want to make sure my face is on the re-edited version from now on. Guys. That's my only stipulation.
It's still funny. It's still funny every time I watch it.
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to Loaded Mag, fully loaded transfer show. A little bit different. Obviously, Pete is gone, so I'm in control. He's in Turkey enjoying his holidays. He's gone. Yeah, he'd be freaking out if he watches this on the beach. Something a little bit special. We were going to kind of cover off transfers, the Benfica game. We're going to do all of that, but obviously earlier today, a bit of news broke. Company's House released a few documents relating to Newcastle. Kind of change of bank, bit of advance, be it a loan, be it whatever. So I reached out, and we thought, well, do you know what? NUFC Twitter is in meltdown again. People going, geez, richest club in the world, but we're skint, we're having to get a loan, everything else. So do you know what? There is only one man that can tell us as best possible what is going on with the situation. So please welcome, for his hat trick of shows, Kieran Maguire.
Who's pressing the button?
It's me. I thought Richie was. Oh, God. What's going on?
Martin gets all of the keys. Look what happens.
This is Kieran. I apologise. Amateur hour.
You need to apologise. But he's already had his hat trick, mate.
Has he? Oh, for God. I had a long time out. Do you know what I mean? That's why I don't do these shows anymore. It's much better when I was on Matters. Didn't have to do anything. Anyway, Kieran, welcome. How are you?
I'm grand. If I talk if I talk more nonsense, that's normal. I'm working nights at present, so I start work at 2 a.m. So I don't even know what day of the week it is, but I'll try to make as much sense of things as I can.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I did reach out to Kieran earlier on, and he's actually doing some lecturing and stuff, linking into Hong Kong. So hence the reason he is a bit tired. So we're going to rattle through as best we can, kind of the subject of the changes. So obviously earlier on today, a few bits broke on Company's House, soon hit Twitter, and I'll very quickly flash up some of the documents. So obviously we had a detail of change with regards to Newcastle United Football Club and HSBC Bank, and obviously an application form with regards to the club giving up and borrowing on future revenue of the 2022-23 season on the last one, including season tickets, match tickets, away supporter tickets, and multiple season packages, along with revenue and media revenue. So, Kieran, why the change? What do you make of it? Is it because, as NUFC Twitter are having the meltdown, has said that Newcastle are skint and PIF are not pumping in the funds? Or what's going on? Why the change?
I think we have to have a little bit of a history lesson in respect of this. And if we take ourselves back, historically, Newcastle United have had as their club bankers Barclays. That goes back to the Mike Ashley era, that goes back to the Sir John Hall era, and so on. So there's always been a long relationship between Barclays. And if you take a look at some of the documents, under Mike Ashley, Newcastle United had an overdraft facility with Barclays, and again that tended to be secured on the TV revenues. So that's not uncommon in football. And the reason for that is when you actually take a more detailed look at club finances, what you see is clubs get a lot of money in sort of April, May when people are renewing season tickets. Then they get nothing in June and July as a rule, apart from the launch of the kit. Match day money for a club like Newcastle, which is mainly season tickets, you don't actually get a lot of money from match days. So the money coming in tends to be quite volatile, and the money going out is quite constant because you've got your wages, which is the big cost of the club, going out every month at the same time. So what you've got is that at some points in the year, you need a bit of cash, just like you might do from a personal point of view in terms of your overdraft. So that's what Barclays used to offer. If we then look at the new owners, in February 2021, Amanda Staveley lost a big claim against Barclays Bank, who are Newcastle's bankers. So it could be fair to say that she's not the biggest fan of Barclays Bank. Then when we take a look at what happened around about 2 weeks ago, all of the monies due to Barclays Bank, all of those mortgage deeds were signed off. So who is Newcastle United's banker? So that was sort of at the time, it didn't seem to be much of an issue. It looked like it was good news because they'd effectively settled the mortgages. We've got to be realistic. Newcastle United need a day-to-day bank. So the information which has come through today suggests, and this is conjecture, suggests that we could have HSBC are Newcastle's new bank. Newcastle have said to HSBC, look, at times during the year, we might need a bit of an overdraft. HSBC have therefore said, well, if that's the case, we want to cover our asses. If you do get overdrawn, we want first dibs of your broadcast money. So that's one take on it. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm just trying to be reasonable here. So it doesn't matter how rich the owners are. It's the owners aren't physically paying the players. They're not physically paying for the bins to be emptied. They're not physically paying for the windows to be cleaned. You're going to need a high street bank to provide those services. Could be that HSBC are now in the frame to do that, and they've said, well, we're willing to do that. What happens if you go overdrawn? Newcastle says, we don't think we're going to need it, but worst case scenario, I mean, I've got an overdraft facility with my bank. I try to avoid using it, but I've still got it. And if I don't pay that back, then I'm in trouble. It's all that they're doing is covering themselves. And of course, if you have a secured overdraft, you can borrow at cheaper rates.
Okay. So obviously, when the news broke, Newcastle Twitter, as it does, becomes investigative. We're very good at plane spotting. We're quite good at investigating bank details and everything else. But a lot of the comments were very, very negative, I guess, this afternoon, in that, it's very much, well, what's the point of having rich owners when we got to take a loan? So one of the theories that obviously we spoke about coming on pre-air is a lot of football clubs recently are borrowing on essentially future income. So Tottenham are doing it. Manchester United have just done it. Chelsea have done it. And it's possible that Newcastle are following suit. So a lot of football clubs, in particular Premier League clubs, and if you look at the likes of Barcelona, who I'm sure we'll touch on maybe in a little while, seems to be borrowing on potential and future earnings and using that as a format of debt, I suppose. But is it feasible that Newcastle are using HSBC, setting up that overdraft piece, but obviously may possibly take something based on future income, in that obviously during a season, because of sponsorship and because of the way the consortium is, or the way ownership is, and that they're only allowed to put so much into the club, that is it possible that Newcastle could take out some format of loan to use as transfer window money? Or do you think that's realistic or unrealistic? Because it looks like Man United are doing that.
Manchester United have arranged a £140 million overdraft with their bank. Will they be using some of that on a month-by-month basis? The answer is yes. Could Newcastle be doing the same? I think they could. I think there's a big difference, however, between the ownership structure of Manchester United and Newcastle, in that Newcastle do have owners who have the ability to put money in. Now, it could be that they've got plans as to when that money goes in, and it's going in at certain times of the year, and they need money before then. So we're presently on the 27th of the month. We've got payday taking place in the next 48 hours for the club. How much is that going to be? Probably in the region of £15 million. Now, do Newcastle have £15 million in the account now? It could be that they have 10, and what they want to do is rather than have the owners on the hook, and that's what Chelsea used to do. Chelsea used to put Abramovich on the hook all the time. That the owners say, well, we want to run it in a slightly different style. If we have to go overdrawn for a couple of days, like anybody does a couple of days before payday, then then that's fine. So could that money be used for the transfer market? Yes, it could. The wage bill will have increased substantially. People are focusing on this window, but remember, they're forgetting that Bruno's wages aren't cheap. Dan Burn, God rest his soul, we still love him in Brighton. He will have had a decent pay rise when he moved there. They've signed Nick Pope, they've signed Chris Wood. They have invested a lot in players, so the wage bill will have gone up. They can use that additional money from HSBC just in the short term. They're getting extra money from the arms sponsorship deal. Now, we don't know how much that is. All I can say is that speaking to somebody in the game, I was told in good faith that Newcastle were trying to get 7 million. Doesn't mean that they have got 7 million, but that's fine. But it's not going to pay the wages for very long.
Okay. One of the other things that's been floating around, and there was a little bit of chatter on a couple of places earlier, certainly back end of last week, there is some chat that at some point Amanda Staveley, PCP, may want to reduce their shareholding in the club. Is that something that, you've anybody has heard of? Have you heard about anything floating around from that? Where would PCP be from a point of, I suppose, from the joint ownership? Because I'd be honest, I don't fully understand it. But where would the coverage be from an example if PIF put in X amount, the Rubens put in X amount, and Amanda Staveley and PCP put in X amount? How long would she be able to continue that? Would that, if PIF said, right, we're going to throw in 50 million, what kind of percentages would the Rubens and Amanda Staveley and PCP have to put in to kind of match that as shareholders?
Well, to avoid diluting the share of the club, for every £8 that PIF put in, the Reuben brothers and Amanda Staveley need to put in £1 each. So if PIF put in 80 million, then Amanda Staveley's got to find 10 million, as of the Reuben brothers. There have been talks, and I'm sure you've seen as well, that there is some form of ongoing dispute between a man whose name I'm not even prepared to say, which let's just refer him to Mr. Voldemort, the former owner of the club. And he has an outstanding legal claim against Amanda Staveley because apparently, even though some people might refer to him as a fat cockney wanker, you're not allowed to say anything rude to him if you are the new owners of the club. So there are some ongoing issues. It is claimed by some that he provided her with the funds which were then used to buy the club, which is a strange way to go about things. But the world of high finance is strange. So if that is the case, that would suggest that Amanda Staveley doesn't have she might have a lot of assets, but assets and cash aren't the same thing. So she might not have access to resource to allow her to contribute to the same extent as PIF. And therefore, at some point in the future, she might agree to reducing her stake in the club when PIF put money in, and she goes from having 10% to 8% to 6% or whatever. I think the important thing is that if PIF get more than 90%, that does tend to change what they are allowed to do from a legal point of view as a rule. So I think the Reuben brothers and Amanda Staveley will be keen to keep their shares between them more than 10%.
Okay, Richie, Chris, any kind of questions on that?
I think one of the things that we just discussed before was just before off air was more about the fact that we weren't, and Reece brings this up, was the inability to possibly pay off Fund 88, not being able to bring in any potential commercial revenue through new sponsors that were linked in the summer. Was this an offset by taking these wages earlier, and with the commercial interest possibly being moved till next summer? Would that offset it and help in the meantime until that cash inflow comes in?
It very well could, Rich. And there's a case for saying let the Fun 88 deal go to its natural end, because a few years ago Chelsea bought themselves out of their Adidas contract, and it cost them 60 or 70 million quid. Well, that 60 or 70 million quid comes out of your FFP budget. So given that Newcastle aren't playing in Europe this year, why not let Fun 88 go to its natural end, hopefully get into Europe next season, and that will allow Newcastle to claim with some degree of legitimacy that they can negotiate a more lucrative sponsorship deal, which will kick in 23-24, and it will give them a better opportunity to defend that deal should the Premier League's fair value committee, whatever that is, try to take down the value.
Yeah. Chris, did you have anything on that? Because there's a few other FFP questions, but not necessarily relating to today.
Yeah, I've seen them in the chat actually, Rich, and I was gonna ask Kieran one of them, but while we've only got Kieran for a short amount of time, obviously, everybody wants to hear, the Newcastle point of view, so to speak. But Kieran, I know you just touched briefly then, saying that the sponsorship deals for 23-24, obviously, they'll hopefully we'll be getting some new deals in that new season. But do you think that those sponsorship deals will be significantly more than what we've got now? I mean, it's rumoured that the Noom deal is $7.5 million for the sleeve sponsor, and I think the deal that we've got at the moment with Fun 88 is about $6 million. So do you think that those deals, well, certainly the main shirt sponsor, which will replace Fun 88, do you think that will significantly improve? I mean, I imagine it will, but let's say it was for 20 million. How would, and you may have explained this before, so apologies if you have, but let's say we signed a new deal with a new sponsor for 23-24, and say it was 20 million a season. Will that 20 million be spread? Will we use the amount for the duration of the deal, or will it literally be on a year by year basis?
I would imagine that from a sponsor's point of view, they'll be looking for a long-term deal. And I think the club would want that as well in terms of being able to plan its way forwards. And any new deal is likely to have incentives built into it. So it could be 20 million if they get into the Europa Conference, or the UEFA Conference. It could be 25 million if they get into the Europa League. It could be 35 million if they get into the Champions League. And I think those step-ups will be quite significant. And that will allow the club to compete against the other clubs. I mean, Manchester United's deal with Team Viewer is worth in the region of 50 million. Liverpool's deal with Standard Chartered is in the region of 50 million. This is not disrespecting Newcastle United, but Manchester United and Liverpool are global brands. Newcastle isn't. Newcastle is a big club as far as this country is concerned, and I think it will have a lot of interest in the Middle Eastern area as well. But I don't think you could justify to the fair value panel that it's worth the same. But all of a sudden, if it's currently £6 million, if the club makes progress this season, then you can say, well, £20 million, it's still less than half than what Manchester United and Liverpool are generating, but the club's now perhaps playing in Europe, or it's reached a cup final. It's got so many more followers in respect of social media. The way that the fair value panel operates is that it looks at eyeballs. How interested are people in Newcastle United? And I think what the club will want to do is to build that relationship with potentially a new fan base in other parts of, first of all, the UK, but also in overseas markets over the course of the next 12 months. And that will help them in justifying a new value for a sponsorship deal going into 23-24.
I think an interesting topic we discussed the other week was obviously with the new CEO coming in, Darren Hales, and saying that the fact that, one, he's got a good idea and knowledge of the market of Major League Soccer and how it works over there in the US, where Newcastle don't really have a big foothold at the moment. So I think bringing him on board and we can expand over there would also, as you're saying about the potential sponsorship going forward, if we can then plug it as You know, we're starting to become a bigger brand, you know, in the America as well. You know, we've got loads of fans on here from, you know, Australia, New Zealand, the Far East. I said obviously the Middle East will, without saying, will increase as well due to our ownership. So that'll, as you're saying, you think that'll help with the sponsorship coming around. You know, 6 million a year now. We know that hasn't really increased in God knows how many years under the previous regime. You know, I think I think last time you were on, Kieran, I think when Mitch was on, I think we were discussing roughly about probably 23 million as a shirt sponsor going forward. But you know, it could be possibly like a wise move, delaying it for a year, see where we place. You know, is European football on the cards, and the brand awareness going to be even bigger for them? But I think you're right with the incentive sort of thing going forward. It is, you know, if we get further and further, the amount on the shirt sponsor goes on. I know we're going to be nowhere near Liverpool and Man United yet, but it's good to know that, you know, our shirt sponsor that comes out next year could be 3, 4, 5 times more than what we've been currently getting, which is going to be fantastic going forward.
I agree with you, Richie. There is certainly scope for growth because, as we've discussed before, in the 14 years of ownership of Mr. Voldemort, there was no growth in commercial revenues, and that is unusual for a club in the Premier League, because the Premier League as a product has grown significantly over that period of time. So that's clearly an area that needs to be addressed. I think the new chief executive, I think it makes a lot of sense to get somebody in with experience, a good football club. In my opinion, and I'm saying this as somebody who, as a Brighton fan, we've got the owner, the chief executive, the director of football, and the coach all rowing in the same direction, and that's absolutely critical. And you know, I know where Brighton are. If a small provincial club like Brighton can punch above their weight, then a bigger club like Newcastle, if the management structure is right, then it can start to leverage on having people who are all thinking alike and are all operating for the same long-term goals. And I think this is, I know Newcastle fans have waited a long time, but sometimes being patient's the best thing to do, because the danger, if you get it wrong, and people are saying, well, can we spend 500 million this window? Yes, you can. But if you buy wrong, you become Everton Mark II, and you spend the next 3 years trying to offload players who don't want to leave because they're on 150 grand a week, they're not worth it, and nobody wants to touch them, and then you're stuffed. So I do think it's exciting to be a Newcastle fan, you know, after a long period where there wasn't a lot to get excited about. But a little bit of patience. The club has spent a lot of money. The club is trying to be more of a football business than it has done historically, when it was effectively a personal fiefdom. All of that can operate in a positive manner for the club.
Okay.
We've got Mark, we've got a quick question off, just quite pretty relevant. It's off Mark, and he's just basically, how much does Kieran estimate this loan agreement to be worth against the club's broadcast revenue and ticket sales?
Well, if it's an overdraft facility, it could sort of vary from month to month. There is no data in the documentation, so I think it would be folly of me to speculate.
Okay.
No problem.
Well, what I was going to say, we obviously, Richie, you mentioned Darren Eales there, and what I was going to say when obviously Kieran was talking about, you know, building those future deals, when he became kind of CEO at Atalanta, it was very much they were not the team that they were, and he got them the best and largest deal with Adidas. He got one of the best MLS commercial deals ever gone, and he drove the revenue through the club to turn them into, revenue-wise, the biggest club in the MLS. May not necessarily have the biggest support, but by far the best revenue-generating club in the MLS. So I think, to take Kieran's point about, you know, as a club, you know, we could wildly spend and become an Everton Mark II. I think, you know, as some of the owners have tweeted over recent weeks, which is, you know, you have to have the building blocks in place to be able to keep starting to build the levels. You know, we've had Caducci, you know, Maydad pinging out, you know, patience is a virtue. You know, we've had other people putting up, you know, getting the building blocks right and so on and so forth. So I think I think that structure is in there now, similar to what Kieran said. They have a Brighton. We've got the CEO, we've got the DFO, we've got Eddie, we've got the ownership. So I think, look, these things, as Kieran said, could be quite as simple as just changing a bank and sorting out an overdraft. We don't know without the numbers really being there. So we are kind of 26 minutes in. I'm kind of cognizant of the fact that Kieran has jumped on and has been working all night. So unless you boys on the panel have got anything else for him, I think we let him go and head to his slumber. And we'll get him on at some other point should things change. And now that my calculations are correct, would be his 5th show if he was to come back at another point. But listen, Kieran, thank you very much for jumping on at very, very short notice. We do appreciate it. Over 400 people in the show watching and in the chat. I'm sure if we got any more questions, you can hit Kieran up. He's on Twitter. Get into the stuff that he does, Price of Football, all those kind of things. Some excellent, excellent articles. Give him a follow. He's a top man and an absolute good friend of the show. So, Kieran, we'll let you go, sir. Thank you very much for coming on. Have a good evening, afternoon, or whatever it happens to be when you do wake up again. And we'll see you again next time.
Thanks very much. Look after our Dans from us, from Brighton. You've got 2 of them. We've got no more Dans left now.
we will indeed.
All the best, Kieran. Much appreciated as always.
Cheers. Take care, mate.
Nice.
Okay, mate.
Bye-bye.
See you, Kieran. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There you go, lads. Well, that was good. So, who's to know? Nobody really knows what it actually is. As Kieran said, could be a change of a bank, could be organising the overdraft, could be a bit of money coming in. Who's to know? We'll wait and see. As Maydad said, patience is a virtue.
It is.
So anyway, 27 minutes in. How is everybody? Didn't really get to shout at everybody when they came in. Daz had problems with his headphones.
Yeah. My headphones, they just died. I tried to turn it up and it turned down, and then I couldn't hear anything. So then I had to take myself off screen to grab an old pair of headphones to
be fair, Daz, that's not what was getting said in chat, mind.
Fair
Chat
enough.
was saying there was a couple of hairs out of place and you weren't happy, so that's why you had to dive off.
Let's just address this situation, because I've been watching Twitter the last couple of nights, and Daz is, to be fair to my good pal there, he's taken a little bit of flack, all harmlessly, might I add. I know some people may not see it that way, about the hairstyle and the Alan Partridge pictures popping up and all that. Personally, I don't see a likeness.
I put that up myself.
I don't see the. I know you did. But I don't see the likeness. I don't know. Although you are wearing the polo tonight, so it's hard to know. But anyway, everybody else, Richie, recovering. How are you feeling?
I'm getting there, mate. I'm a bit tired, a bit drained and stuff, but I thought I'd come and do a stint tonight.
Fair play to you. No, we weren't expecting, and at least you were able to start the show because I've forgotten completely how to do it. Chris, how are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, no, to be honest, Mark, I'm the same as you. I really need to lead the shows, don't I? I've kind of taken a back seat, but
look, like
you should also put it in.
We're just glad that you're now turning up.
Yeah, but this is it, Mark. You know what I mean?
Me. Yeah,
it's great.
I'm not one to talk, so I'm not slating you, pal.
In fairness to Chris, he was there. There was it fortnight? Was it Monday, Tuesday?
I was in the trenches with you, wasn't it? Dan?
Yeah, you were answering all those questions, Chris. Yeah,
Q&A.
It's going to be a bit more of that, lads, because I'm on my holes after Friday, so I won't be around for 2 weeks. So a bit like normal, really. Just turn up. I might just turn up randomly on a stream. You never know. You never know.
Well,
all right,
Martin. Before we start, just to let you know that how you're always saying we need new buttons, and the more subscribers we have, and if people do the right thing and subscribe, to us, but I've got a new button, so it's just we know you're really get really animated in the show, so we have a.
Oh, I love that.
It's on loop.
Will we time it? Will we try it again?
Yeah, so
I love that.
Yeah. So we're ready. We're ready for it. Going forward.
Yeah, we're not very good on the
time.
We
might need to get a longer one. Anyway, let's get on with the show.
Is that the only button?
That's the new button. No, I
Daz, there's 2 easier ways to actually you don't need that button, right? You either put Martin on mute, right? Or you do that.
An option as well. Option.
Exactly, yeah. Give me time to get the brandy. All right, so look, let's chat. Obviously, last night, Newcastle played Benfica in the Eusebio tournament for a very, very nice Eusebio Cup trophy. Out in Portugal, the team was split into two. So we had two different teams, one at the first half, one in the second half. So this was the team for the first half. Obviously, Pope, Trippier, Lascelles as captain. Boo. Botman, Target, Longstaff, Gamerish, Elliot Anderson, Miggy, Almiron, Maximin, and Callum Wilson. And then obviously the second team on the bench. First half, obviously, we kind of got into it. We had the obligatory team photo. Although the weird thing I might add, did anybody else like me think that when you look at Sean Longstaff, that he was just one of the fans they grabbed out of the stand and said, come and jump on the end? Because
it does look rather Photoshop like, doesn't it?
It doesn't look like he's part of the team at all. Everybody else is interlinked, and then this guy's just rocked up and gone, I'm just going to stand in. It looks brilliant. So we had the team photo, game kicked off, and obviously we conceded a fairly sloppy goal early on, but we did come back, and our main man, goal scorer, who is on fire pre-season, great link-up play with Kieran Trippier, and hits the back of the net with kind of a middle of the goal hit. Benfica then go further back up the field, and to be fair, we were kind of being run ragged by this guy, Rafa Silva. Can I just say what an outstanding player. Ran the middle of the park, bypassed our midfield in that first half numerous times. And then obviously they scored pretty much a delightful free kick. Some discussion as to whether Nick Pope was possibly in the wrong position, straight over the wall, Liam O'Brien style. Benfica were at that point obviously 2-1 up, but then again with some great play down the right-hand side, exchanges between Trippier and Miggy. Miggy bursts through, and then from the right-hand side of the box shoots again and scores again. So we go in 2-2 at half-time. Second half, we come out with a completely different team. So we come out with Darlow, Kraft, Shaw, Dan Burn, Matt Bonswell, John Joe Shelby, Joe Linton, Willock, Murphy, Ritchie, and Chris Wood. I thought second half, that team was the better of the two teams. I thought we controlled the play better. I thought we bossed more in midfield. We will kind of chat a little bit, and I'll get all of your views. Matty Bonswell, I thought, was absolutely outstanding at left back. I thought he did a cracking job, wasn't afraid to tackle, got down the wing, linked into play. Unfortunately, Murphy maybe could have done a bit more. Chris Wood definitely should have scored with a header and didn't. And then obviously at the back end, we have the inevitable where a little bit of temper flaring, and the big man, J7, Daz's tattoo, soon to be when he gets the Brazil call up on Daz's backside, gets sent off. Now, bit of chat on Twitter last night, lads, that we didn't get too much off the referee. Didn't really give us a bit of a licking. Seemed to be pulling up our players left, right, and centre. Seemed quite confrontational with a few of our players. I don't know what your views are. We'll go through those in a minute. Sends off Joe. Newcastle start to struggle. We play a little bit of ball. And then right at the end, Benfica score, 89th minute, 3-2, and we lose the cup. So, thoughts, boys? I thought overall it was a good workout. I thought second team that came on at half-time played a lot better than the first. I thought that first half, I thought Bruno missed having Joe Linton alongside him. I thought he looked a little bit lost. I thought ASM was poor, and I know I'm going to take flack. Got a bit of a kick in a couple of times, but didn't really see too much from him. But look, everybody kind of knows there's varying views. But overall, I thought it was a good workout against Champions League, a Champions League team who are probably a couple of weeks ahead of us fitness-wise. But Richie, we'll start with you. What was your thoughts on the game, mate?
Well, first of all, it was good to see the following that the amount of fans that actually went over to Lisbon. It was a fantastic.
1,500, I think, over there.
Yeah, it was. Just for a pre-season, I think the commentator said there was just under 50,000 there for a friendly full stop. So it's a good turnout full stop. Hopefully, we'll see similar attendances this weekend. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think Eddie Howe said it was pretty much they were the perfect opposition to test, where we are going forward for this season. And yeah, it was a I agree, man. It was the first half we were, they did seem the better side, a bit more experience. The other Champions League experience side can control games better. But at the same time, we look at both lineups and there's players from the second lineup that should be in the first and vice versa. And I still don't think we've seen Eddie Howe's first 11 out yet. We might see it this weekend. I don't know. He might keep it totally under wraps until the Forest game. I think the promising thing for me first half was how fantastic we looked down that right-hand side with Trippier and Almiron. There seems to be an understanding developing between the two of them. And obviously one of the things that we've noticed recently, and obviously you go back to when we did squad game and we were split about who was going to be going. Was it Almiron or would it be Murphy? I thought Almiron was probably the better of the two. I still feel like Murphy flatters to deceive, and I think he did again last night when he came on second half. But it seems to be, he's finished the end of the season really well in good, confident mood. He's went away over the summer. He played at national games and done well there. He's had a nice holiday and come back, and he's hit the ground running. 6 goals and 2 assists in the pre-season so far. And yes, you can only go against whoever you're playing. And that's. But at the end of the day, you can only put the ball in the back of the net against teams you're playing. You can only get an assist against teams you play. It makes no difference really. If it was Callum Wilson scoring 6 goals and 2 assists, we would be through the roof, go through the roof out. Or if it was Maxi doing it, we'd be going about time. He was fantastic last night, and that link up between him and Trippier, we didn't get to see that really last year because obviously Trippier was injured for so much of the after he signed. But it's good to see that partnership development. And, obviously everyone keeps hammering on about needing a right winger. Yes, do we still need one? Yeah, we do. But I think, there's been a lot of rumours, which we'll probably touch in the second half of the show, where the focus seems to have switched more toward a left winger. Yeah. And is it the fact that Eddie Howe sees it as, Almiron's come on a lot more than what he thought he was going to? So he's probably thinking, do we need someone who can possibly go on the left? And if we need to, we can move Maxi over to the right as well. And, because a lot of the targets that we've had been linked with the last 7 to 10 days are more left wingers than right wingers. But I think you missed off as well. Almiron could have scored in literally the first few minutes as well. There was some good build-up play there as well. So he could have had a hat-trick in that first half. So, yeah, a couple of defensive mistakes, I think, for their goals, but I think it was good football for both of our goals as well. Second half, I probably agree. I think we controlled the game a lot better in the second half. I know that the commentators thought that Newcastle might not have get up to speed as much because obviously you're changing a full 11, so it takes sometimes like players to get up to speed. When you make a substitution in a game, sometimes they need 5 minutes to get to the pace of the game and stuff like that. I think with it being a full half, they hit the ground running straight away. And Benfica looked as though they didn't have the legs compared to others. And I think, as you said, Matty Bonds, he was phenomenal. You would never have thought it's his first game in and around the first team squad. And there's a couple of times when Murphy got the ball, and the first instinct Bonds had was he's trying to get overlap. He's sprinting so hard to get past him and give him an option down that flank. And it was so good to see, especially with obviously Jamal Lewis and Paul Dummett not featuring last night. It was really, really good to see that, how promising he is. And then, he's got the potential to live up to that, a few years ago when he was at Leipzig before, and turned down a lot of other clubs. So it's really good to see what they're going to do with him, whether they're going to keep him in and around the under 23s, possibly bring him into the fold for cup games or something, or whether they send him out on loan and get a better loan because his Shrewsbury loan last year was a bit abysmal. He fell out with the manager, didn't really get the game time, so it was a bit of a waste of space. So hopefully they get a good loan if they decide that was the way to go. I think we controlled it, really. And to be fair, I thought we could have nicked it until the sending off. I don't know how anyone else saw it, but I saw a lot on social media today saying it was 2 bookings for 2 fouls. If I remember correctly, I'm sure the first booking was because the referee told Joe Linton to go away, go away, go away, and he just literally turned around and went, "There you go. I've warned you about 4 or 5 times." So to me, it was a stupid first booking. And yes, he would have probably got a yellow card for the second one, but the first one, it's one of those we talk about so many times with other players, and it's just ill discipline. It's for a friend. It's a friendly, not even really a competitive game. If that wasn't a Premier League game, that's cost us 3 points. Luckily it's in a friendly, and Eddie Howe can pull it to one side and say, "Look, you don't need to lose your head like that. You can state your point, and then they just back away. Don't just keep on. You know what I mean?" And I don't blame them. I could see it coming when he kept on saying, "Go away," but he didn't, and it was just stupid. And obviously, he gets a booking 3 minutes later, and he's off, and we're down to 10 men. And I was hoping we could hold on to the penalties, but it wasn't to be. And then obviously, the class of Benfica told in that last, when we're down to 10 men, unfortunately. But do you know what? I'll say that I think it was a fantastic workout for that. Valuable minutes once again. So we'll go from quality opposition from last night to 2 quality oppositions on Friday and Saturday back at our place.
Yeah, exactly.
Richie, your description was so vivid. It's like I'm able to watch it over Martin's shoulder right now.
I know.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it is actually on. I didn't even cop that. It is on. Yeah. Replay the game. Chris, one of the things I noticed, and I don't know if you did yesterday as well, the first half of that game, Bruno seemed quite agitated. Was mistiming a couple of the tackles, seemed to be getting a bit of jip off the referee, and I think that's kind of where we kind of lost a little bit of traction in midfield. He didn't seem to be on his full game last night. Seemed to perhaps be a little bit hurried in the tackles and stuff. What did you make of the game overall, and what did you think of kind of Bruno first half?
Yeah, to touch on your point, Mark, you made a fantastic point in the very start. I think a lot of that was because he was rattled by Rafa, because Rafa, there was a point where Rafa megged him in like the first half, and you could see Bruno didn't like it. I thought Rafa, like you, Martin, I thought Rafa was absolutely outstanding in midfield for Benfica, and I think it was more frustration from Bruno than anything. You could maybe say that we were missing a couple of players who, would probably be in the starting 11 in the second half. And maybe Bruno was, I don't know, maybe Bruno was missing the likes of Joe Linton. I know.
Do you think he was missing Big Joe alongside him?
Yeah, because
he's quite unsettled.
Yeah. He provides a lot of physicality, Joe, doesn't he? And I think maybe the likes of Rafa were given more freedom because Joe wasn't there. And maybe
Bruno to get forward a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think he was probably mixing it in a way that he hasn't done at Newcastle since he's arrived, and perhaps maybe that's unsettled him a touch. But in terms of overall, Richie was spot on as well when he was saying about that right hand side in the first half. I thought Trippier and Miggy linked up really well. I mean, that little round the corner pass by Trippier to set up, to set things up. I think it was for it must have been the second goal. I thought that was really, really clever. And Trippier with 2 assists, it bodes well, put it that way. And Miggy with 2 fantastic finishes.
Second finish I thought was really, really good because he didn't actually, once he got the ball from Trippier, he didn't take it on any further. He just kind of curled it around the defender and the keeper, which I thought was a clever finish.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? He didn't absolutely hammer it. He just guided it into the far corner, and it was really a good finish. And even the first one, he probably won't get much credit for the first one. But bearing in mind, who was it who done the air shot? I think it was Callum Wilson. And then it came to him, and then Miggy had to hit it quite hard, but keep it down, and he did. And it was a really good finish. But it sums up Miggy's pre-season. I think Miggy's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Hopefully, he has a big season. I think a lot of people are looking for him to have a big season this season. I mean, we all know there's a player there. He's probably had maybe a season and a half really where he probably wasn't getting as much game time through Bruce, and he was kind of skying the ball and not really getting the runs. But you see him. One of the things we talked about on the show sometimes is when he seems to play for Paraguay, he plays effectively a more central role, where he kind of has a bit more freedom. But as you said, I thought he played really, really well on that right hand side, linking with Trippier, but coming infield for the couple of goals. So he seemed to be, maybe there's a good bit of work going on with the coaching team with regards to his positioning. Definitely looks like there's been work regards his finishing. because I thought his finishing all pre-season, he's looked really, really sharp and confident.
Yeah,
he could actually be. He could be this season's Joe Linton, and like he started to improve towards the end of the season. I think it was when Fraser was injured. Then he got a run in, and then we were just saying like maybe we want him to get more game time because he was on such a run, and then the season went out. So it's great that he's picked it up in preseason, and it does look like he could hit the ground running. And he like we were. Well, I was getting rid of Miggy. Then we said we'd give him a chance after he picked it up. And come middle of the season, into the season, we could be saying, give him a new contract. He's on that trajectory, but let's see. It could change again.
You to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely does. I think you're right. And talking just to briefly touch on the first and second half, I was like you boys have said, I was really surprised at how well we dealt with Benfica in the second half. Because when I seen the lineup, I was quite surprised because obviously I was watching it on a foreign stream, and then I saw that I didn't look at Twitter till about 5-10 minutes in, and when I was looking around the team, I was thinking, oh, he's new, and then when I looked, I seen we'd made 11 changes, and I thought, oh, this second half going to be ruined now. And do you know what? I thought that we controlled the game better in the second half. I thought we did really well. I thought we were really unlucky to lose. Touching on Joe Linton, obviously, he was getting aggravated. I've got no problem with that though. I like somebody in the team who's willing to fight and willing to kick off. Obviously, there's a line, and you can't keep crossing that line. But it was nice to show that he cared, and I do appreciate it as a preseason game, but that willingness to want to win. You know what I mean? He could have had the attitude of, it's only a preseason friendly, I don't care. So when you see players that care and players that want every single ball, they want every single decision, I do quite like that. But obviously there's a time and a place, and certain times if you go over the line and then you cost the team going forward, that's no good, obviously. To touch on Bondswell, I thought he did well. With it being, I think it was his first senior appearance, wasn't it? I think he did. I think he slotted in, and to quote Eddie Howe when he was talking about Elliot Anderson, he didn't look out of place, and I think that's probably the biggest compliment that you can give him. I thought he slotted in well. I thought he did good. Emil Kraft, I think Emil Kraft when he came on, I thought he did really well, and it's we're talking about turnarounds in performance. I know we were briefly talking about Miggy, and we've talked about Joe Linton. Emil Kraft now, he's a solid understudy for Trippier, isn't he? And I thought he did well. My biggest, I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but a thing that kind of made me go, oh right, yeah, I can kind of see where this is going now, was how alarming it was the way Dan Burn just got turned. I think it was Yaremchuk. And literally, he got Burn on the wrong side, and there was no going back.
The pace had him beaten. Once he was turned, he was never going to catch him.
Yeah,
it was too much pace for him.
And I don't want to get on Dan Burn's back. I think he's been great since he's joined Newcastle, and I think he's a good solid defender. But I don't think that happens with Botman. I just don't think it would have happened with him there. And Botman had a really good solid first half.
Chris, touching on that goal though. I watched the replay when he came down the side on the right, and I noticed it looked like the three defenders that were coming back in the middle all seemed to be ball watching. There was nobody looking over the shoulder.
Fault.
Yeah. I just thought that at least one of them should be marking. For that pull back, and all of them just kept on coming towards him, didn't it?
Everybody drifted right.
Yeah.
Burn got caught, and your man had a simple task of playing it into the centre spot. Not a lot you can do it, and it's a good finish. To be fair, even though there's a couple of bodies in the way. Daz, what did you make of it? What did you make of Botman?
Botman, yeah, he was solid. He got to tackle him when he needs to be. I watched over the first half, and then the second half I was kind of only half watching. I was I was on my phone most of the time. But you've kind of covered an awful lot of it. It was a preseason game. Look at it; it doesn't matter the result. If we were really going for it, we wouldn't have had Murphy, Wood, and Richie up there as our front three. You're never going to score with those three.
I thought Matt Ritchie did okay second half. To be fair,
he did
well.
Yeah, he did.
But look, the guy always gives 100% when he puts a shirt on. I don't think that's That's
Yeah,
invadable.
yeah, that was
secret
never-
that Eddie Howe wants to keep him. And I think that you can see why with that. But
Why does he want to keep him? Like, he can have him in the coaching staff as he wants. He shouldn't be playing first this season. Really, he needs to move on.
I think he still wants to go south, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, he's been a great servant, but yeah, he needs to go. I think. And
I'm sorry, Daz. Go on, mate. Go on.
No, go for Chris.
No, I was just going to say I had a quick question for you all. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. So obviously we've got Atalanta and we've got Athletic Bilbao this weekend on Friday and the Saturday. Do you think, and I'll ask you first, Daz, do you think that we will see the starting 11 for the Forest game for one of those games, and then the 11 players who maybe aren't necessarily in Eddie Howe's starting 11 in the other game? Do you think that's how Eddie Howe will play it? Or do you think he'll very much split where, like, we'll think, oh, I want to just have a double check on him and I want to pair him up with him? Or do you think we're too far down the line now? Do you think, it's game time now?
No, it's game time now. I think I said it right after the match last night. I think in the first game, the Atlanta game, he'll play the second string, let's say, and I think he'll play the first string in the Bilbao game. Joe Linton will be missing the first game as well. So and we know now John Joe Shelby is the hamstring injury as well. So he's
what the
out of
just ignore it, Baz.
I missed that.
Ken Charlton.
But
there you go, Daz. Yes, you missed it.
Hey, Mark. Hey, that's a compliment, mate.
Yeah, it is. No, I'll take that. I'll let her know. Thanks, Ken.
Well, Ken.
Okay, moving on. Yeah, so Shelby's
moving swiftly on.
Shelby's missing, so because he's done a lot of work in pre-season, as in before. I think he was training in Turkey, so he was looking ready to go, and so it is a shame. But look at. I think to answer your question, Chris, he'll go with his starting 11 in one of those games. I imagine it's in the second game, and that's it. Then all guns blazing towards the game of Forest. And come on, then I'm over there to shout it out.
And just to add on, and obviously, Rich, Mark, you answer this as well, but who do you think that starting 11 will be? Assuming we're going to do 4-3-3, which I think is fair to say, who's your starting 11? Okay,
Popey. We kind of covered some of this. Popey, Trippier. I think it's going to be Schär, Botman, Target. Then we'll have Bruno, J7, probably Willock, ASM, Wilson, and Miggy.
Totally agree.
That's a good team.
It's a good team.
Decent. And like,
do we know about Shelby, by the way? I know someone asked about Shelby.
Hamstring.
Yeah.
Don't think it's
How
been
long is he out
assessed
for? Do
fully
we
yet.
know? Oh, we don't know.
No name on time on it yet. So
we
games anyway.
We could get a player in before. You remember we were saying was it Monday? We were saying that we thought we'd get someone in before the especially now this.
Well played, Eddie Howe. Yeah, sorry, Maida and Amanda. I need a new midfielder. John, down there.
Then my pick from that question about who we would get in, if you remember, was Lucas Paqueta. But now there was some comment today in L'Equipe that he doesn't want to move to Newcastle. So I don't know. I don't believe it.
I take that with a pinch of salt. That same journalist said that Botman had no interest in joining Newcastle either. So it's nearly as bad as the Sun. But anyway, there you go. Okay, look, we're an hour in. There's just approaching 500 people watching, so fair play for that. We do appreciate that always. But as we said, get onto the bottom of the screen there, smash the like button for us. It really does help us. Dad said he's got the nice little beep button now. God knows what else, other kind of buttons. If we get more people hitting the like, Daz will be able to get a hold of. But it does help us, does help the channel, and helps us keep growing. And the more likes, it bumps us up in amongst the YouTube bits there, and it lets more people get to us and see the content that we put out. So thanks for that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about transfers now. Daz, I'm slightly off on this one because I know we did get a couple of names in the chat last night from someone, and you know who they are. I didn't read it, so I'll plead ignorant. But let's talk a little bit of transfers. So let's throw some names up, and then we'll have a bit of transfer chat for a while.
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'm allowed to say these names or not, but Look, we'll go with it anyway.
We'll go with it anyway. What's the worst?
Just
that can
say
happen?
it.
Yeah, so we were. Let's just tell people where they came from. So first, so maybe to give them the context around it. Yeah, so they came from Sean because I did reach out to Sean to see could we get him on tonight. I know people really wanted to get him back on. So, but yeah, it didn't work out for Sean. He was trying to switch some things around, but he did say how. Ken, can we get rid of Ken? Ken is new life goals tonight.
I'd like to have a pint of whatever Ken is drinking.
Sorry, guys.
If Ken is still listening, I am not going to Newcastle now in a week's time after that comment. Right,
you have to because I'm going next week. So like you're second in a row for the breath testing next week after I fly home, mate. So.
Right, so let's give people the names. The first name is Pulisic from Chelsea. So this is something that Sean gave to us. So thoughts on that one, lads? No, I know Sean hasn't tweeted anything out about this yet, and it could have chopped and changed since then. But that was what he was saying to us. What do you make of that if that happens?
All right, I'll go. I think he's a cracking player. Knows where the goal is. Strong. Good at running that last kind of bit of yardage. Good engine on him. Would you take him? Absolutely. Is he an improvement? Absolutely. So why not? But yeah, I think he's a good player. Would it be a loan with an obligation? Don't know. How much game time is he going to get at Chelsea? Hard to know. But yeah, I think he's a good player. He's definitely an improvement. So yeah. For me.
Breaking news. I've just checked my DMs. Breaking news. Give me 5 minutes.
I've sorted, Daz.
You have it done, have you?
Well, if you read private bloody chat, did he know?
Yeah, sorry, I was talking, Richie.
Daz is still getting over the Dilf comment.
That's showing me that in the headphones. I had to throw out the window. Right, so we may have a special guest join us shortly to talk about these certain topics. Sorry, who was talking?
I did. Yeah, Richie. Now, yeah, this is going well, lads. This is why Pete leads most of the time because we don't I definitely don't have a clue what's going on. You know, that's why me and Chris just turn up. No, it's gone to carnage.
I'm sitting down here. I'm not doing anything. I know. But it's we're like, let's talk about transfers. You're like, well, we talk about the ones that Sean got. I was like, I don't even know who they are. So it's like, we did. Although, to be fair, Daz kind of, we talked about the show this morning. Daz went, well, I'm just going to kind of set it up. You can lead it and throw up the pictures. So I did hastily. And in fairness, I did text the lads this morning. I went, yeah, all the Benfica pictures are up. I've got the bank bits up. And then we did grab Kieran Mcguire as well. So I actually think, I've kind of done it's a good steady 8 out of 10 today so far. You know what? I put you under pressure on the spot, and look what you can achieve when you want to.
I know.
Never doubted you.
I feel so proud that my training wheels have come off, Daz. No, it's the first time I've I know. Hard to think that we used to do this just the two of us before we got all the rest of the lads on. And it's been that long, but. Right. Yeah, Pulisic. I would take him. Yes, sorry, just to revert back.
Cool. Great. Anyone else? Any other takers?
Better than what we've got.
An improvement. Is that not what we're looking for? No.
Is that it? Better than what we've got.
Absolutely.
I mentioned Pulisic a while back on the shows, and I think it was Daz. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was with Mitch. And I was saying, like, for me, Pulisic, I mean, I obviously I take Mitch's point, and Mitch knows far more than what I know, but I take Mitch's point, about the wages possibly being a problem. But I suppose if we get him on a loan deal, maybe that won't be an issue. Maybe we can, agree some kind of deal with Chelsea where they pay half of them or something. 50%. I don't know. But Pulisic is going to want to play football. And let's be honest, Chelsea now have a lot of players vying for the same position. Werner's come up as well. His name's been popping up recently. They can't keep all the players that they've got happy in the team at the moment. So they're going to have to let one or two go. And Pulisic always feels like he's on the fringe for me. And I really like him. I think he's a promising player. He came originally, I think, from Dortmund. He's come to the Premier League. He's had flashes of brilliance. And as always with Chelsea mainly Chelsea and Man City players, because they've got such a strong squad, you know, the players will be in for 2 or 3 games and you're like, oh, you know, this is their season, they're going to kick on, and then they get rested for 2 or 3 games. Whereas at Newcastle, that won't happen. You know, if he's fit and he's in form, he's in that starting 11. And it could be the move that, you know, really kicks him on. Because as I say, I'm a big fan of him. Whenever I've seen Pulisic, I think he's got that little bit of quality. We were talking about Ziyech as well. Ziyech's another one. They've just got loads of players, Chelsea, that, you know.
Apparently, I was reading something today, Chris, just on Ziyech. They were saying apparently he's available for 8 million.
That's ridiculous if that's true.
If that's true, ridiculous. If you don't go for him,
that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely, for that money. No, I don't think that money's right. There's no way. Absolutely no way is he going for 8 million. I don't believe that for 1 second. But if he was, if that is a deal you don't do, then that would be absolute madness for that money.
Yeah. So just to interrupt, just because I'm not wearing the big can earphones, people have noticed my cushion behind here, and they're saying I look like Spock with the ears. So if I just move right. There we go. There we go. Or Nelf.
Live long and prosper, shops. Diluted hell.
Yeah.
Okay, who else have we got?
We've got another one, and I cannot pronounce his name. I'm hoping our guest comes on and pronounces his name. But it's this guy. Okay. His name is Christoph
Piatek.
Yes, that's it.
Is that Piatek?
Yeah, it's Piatek.
Yeah.
Whatever you have in yourself, yeah. So he, from Heights Berlin, he was on loan at Fiorentina last season, played 14, scored 3. For that, Heights Berlin played 54, scored 12. He was at AC Milan as well at one stage. Let me go read a bit more about him here. Yeah, so he is a striker. He doesn't have a great return though.
Is his return better than Chris Wood?
Has to be.
No, that's it. Daz's return's better than Chris Wood.
No, I'm just waiting for Daz's usual preseason. Chris Wood's never going to score a goal. Yeah,
well, that nearly did happen. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe if our guest comes on, he can talk a bit more about that one.
Yeah. Okay.
That was 2 names that came in. Apart from that, a few names that have been mentioned as well this week. Let's talk about Harvey Barnes. Chris, we talked a bit about him there the other night, and we did the comparison, Harvey Barnes or Anthony Gordon. But Harvey Barnes, Richie and Mart, what do you think?
I would say absolutely. I think he's a quality little player. I think he'd be very much an Eddie Howe kind of player. I think he'd do a cracking job for us. Interestingly, the thing in the back of my head, and I know we're kind of diverging slightly here, but is what the hell is going on with Leicester?
I know.
Like, are they? Is there some financial issues there? Like what? Because I see Kasper Schmeichel is away to Nice, and again, to link that bit, I don't know. There was a bit of chatter between a few of us on the thing, but there seems to be a little bit of the talk about Dubravka.
Yeah, that was me that said that.
No,
I read it somewhere on Twitter. So
I seen something this afternoon as well.
So Kasper Schmeichel to Nice, then Dubravka, who was meant to have a wrist injury, to go into Leicester, and then as part of Harvey Barnes coming to us. So that would be some nice move. It's like a Dan Ashworth kind of special, but it could be just someone making it up on Twitter as well.
Yeah. No, I'd take Barnes. I think he'd be it'd be good. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think Harvey Barnes would be a big upgrade on what we've got at the minute. I mean, he's certainly a prospect, isn't he? He broke into the England team. The thing, what Daz and I were discussing over Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon, I suppose you could throw Jack Harrison into that conversation as well. For me, I think Harvey Barnes has got a bigger ceiling than Anthony Gordon and Jack Harrison. I think Harvey Barnes could literally go to the next level. He's been performing consistently for Leicester. Every time you see Harvey Barnes, he always looks like he's got more in the tank. I always feel like he could perform even better than what he is. I know Liverpool were linked with him not so long ago. Jurgen Klopp was apparently looking at Harvey Barnes. He just looks like a player who maybe has gone a little bit stale. And you could probably say that for a lot of Leicester players, especially after what you said, Mark. You know, it could be that a few of them are looking on and going, hang on, well, Schmeichel's going, Tielemans wants to go, Vardy's going to retire soon. Leicester could really drop quite considerably. And if they lose a couple of key players, who knows what could happen? I mean, they were missing Wesley Fofana for a lot of last season. He's now back. Will he be looking for a move? Because I know a lot of clubs were looking at him. And once you lose 2, 3, 4 players, it will have an impact, and then other players will start to leave.
A bit today as well, I think, with Fofana. I think Man United, possibly some interest in Wesley Fofana. We're seeing on Twitter earlier on as well. So
very good player.
You never kind of know, yeah.
I heard another one, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this either, but I'll say it anyway. I'm sure the person won't mind.
One day, spot,
but it's it is. It'd be an outgoing, and it's a link that might have resurfaced again. It hasn't been out in the media yet, but it's potential Darlow to Leeds. But then again, who knows what's going to go around with Dubravka now? But we'll see. Watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, one we've had a few little links with, but obviously is probably going to do. Stay up Pornhub, yeah, exactly. One who is going to do perhaps an audition this weekend.
Yes. Duvan Zapata.
Obviously, somebody very much that both myself and Pete have spoken a good bit about. Still interest there, but again, money, different bits and pieces. But what are the thoughts on Duvan Zapata, lads? How do you think the audition will go? Hopefully not great this weekend. Hopefully have a decent game but doesn't score. But any thoughts on him?
I have a bit of breaking news just before you go to that, and I don't know if this is out yet either. Maybe it's on Twitter. I'm not sure. But hamstring injury for Shelby is not a hamstring injury. It's a sciatic nerve, so it's not as bad as first thought. But we'll see how that breaks.
Back injury more so.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone know? There you go. We've just answered that question. Anyone know about Shelby's injury? Yes, breaking news, not hamstring. It is indeed sciatica, broken to you by our very good Dr. Spock. Okay, who else have we got? I know there was chat initially about Dwight McNeil, but it looks like Everton might be tying up that deal.
Yeah, so I mentioned that was chat before. 20 million to Everton.
20 million, yeah. That looks like that deal is quite close. The other one we were obviously talking about is this guy, Cornet. Again, I know we've spoken a little bit. Seemed to still be that link there. Again, I think he's, does he improve us? Yes. Would he give you the return? Not sure. But again, probably available on decent enough money to get a hold of him. Probably wouldn't be huge wages. Does Chris?
I've got one for you actually, Mars. Well, that's for all year, but I know Mark, you'll particularly like it. So Everton,
Jack Wilshere.
Everton, no, it's not Jack Wilshere. It's not Jack Wilshere.
He's joining us.
Everton seem to have pressed the go button now in terms of transfers because it's all popped off in the last 24 hours. So yeah, Dwight McNeil is allegedly having a medical. Everton are looking to get Idrissa Gana Gueye back from PSG. And apparently, they're also trying to tie up a deal for Ross Barkley. So bringing the old boys back, getting the old band back together.
Barkley's a weird one. Like I kind of,
I know you like Barkley.
I do like Ross Barkley,
yeah.
And I know we've had this chat a few times on the show, and I think when we chatted last time, we questioned the mentality, where the attitude was. He hadn't been playing ball, hasn't been getting regular games. Where would he be? Where would he be at, kind of mentality wise? But look, there's a player there in Ross Barkley. On his day, he's a quality footballer. But is the attitude right? I don't know. Since he kind of moved on and had that loan spell, he doesn't seem to have kind of hit it since he kind of finished up at Villa, and I don't know.
I put him in the
player.
I put him in the Dele Alli bracket, mate. I think the talent's there, but Ross Barkley worries me in that I think he's maybe had too high wages too soon, and I think I question whether he's that arsed.
The ego is bigger.
I just question whether he's that arsed anymore. I really do. He's been at Chelsea. He's been on loan to Villa. They didn't want to keep him. He's now back at Chelsea. Tuchel's probably has a look at him and gone.
Yeah, but the thing is with that though, Chris, I'd probably agree with you on everything you've said there. But he's going back to his hometown club.
Well, this is true. Yeah.
And
if he's not gonna do it there, Rich, he won't do it anywhere, will he?
No, I don't. I think we've gone past that stage of looking for people like Bartley who weren't getting games elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, Everton seemed to be in the mist that we were in this time last summer, sort of thing. Like, who can we pick up for next to nothing and stuff like that? And I wouldn't be going anywhere near Barkley now. I think that ship sailed last season. But yeah, if he's going to do it anywhere, it'll be Everton because it's his hometown club. If he can't do it there, then he shouldn't be playing football.
Yeah, I think the thing with Everton as well, I think they're, I know they've got, and again, there's been talk of this lad coming to Newcastle. That's his favourite player. But I think Everton are in big trouble because if he doesn't produce the goods, if he stays at Everton, they've got where else do the goals come from? And I think they could be in big trouble. Big trouble financially as well. As we know, they've spent heavily, as Kieran Maguire said at the start of the show. Newcastle doing the right thing by not going too crazy and spending the 500 million and becoming an Everton Mark II. But I don't know. They're in big trouble. Who else have we got, lads?
Lads, we'll just give people an update because our guest is going to join us in 5 minutes. So when we talk about our guest, we're talking about Sean Casey. So Sean is due to join us in about 5 minutes. So stay tuned for that.
Very good. Is now then will we give a quick shout out to sponsors and stuff while we've kind of got
let's do that.
Somebody want to ping up the pictures and I'll shout it out? Yeah,
sure. I'll grab that. Rightio. First up, Martin.
Yeah, Shy Burns. I know Simon. I haven't seen if he's in the chat or not. He normally is.
Yeah, he was in earlier.
Obviously, not only is he doing his own range of T-shirts, caps, different bits and pieces for mental health, but he is also doing the Loaded Mag T-shirts in a multitude of colour. Even Joseph would be happy. So get on there, get yourself a T-shirt in particular, get yourself a Loaded T-shirt. Half of the profits go towards Newcastle Foundation, and a little bit comes towards the channel. But all of us boys got a load of T-shirts. They're a cracking piece of kit, and it'd be great to see a few more people grabbing hold of those. So Shy Bairns, look them up, shybairns.com, and follow them up on Twitter and Facebook and so on. Pins and Prints, obviously a provider of all our kind of little picks and different bits and pieces. Nice one that did I put it up in the bar? No, I still haven't put it up in the bar.
No, I noticed.
I know, I will get it up. Do you know what it is? I'm just waiting. I'm going to get it. Yeah, I'm not going to say that. Questions about my wife being a MILF and everything else, and I'm going to get it up. So let's revert from that. Let's hold off there.
Okay,
That's the wrong channel. Yeah, Pornhub's on at 9. But yeah, Pins and Prints. Richie, in fairness, got me a lovely print of Shearer, so I'm going to get that put up. So again, get onto there and hook up you and get yourself a few prints, Newcastle related or otherwise. Next one, Daz. NUFC Retro NUFC for all your memorabilia. I know he is going to do as a giveaway. Did we do the Jamal Lascelles training shirt?
It's gone to Norway.
It's gone to Norway.
Okay, very good. So we will do a few more bits with him.
And Lascelles is going with him.
Lascelles is going with him. Yeah, we've paid for that.
Just a shout out for Retro NUFC. It's this Saturday that he's at Tynemouth Market before the Bilbao Friendly. So if you want to get yourself down there and see the items he's got some fantastic signed shirts. If I looked on Twitter earlier on, a printed 95-96 one and a signed 97-98 shirt.
Cool. Very good. Okay, next up, Machine House. So Martin and the lads, actually, I was in touch with Martin because I am going home next week, and he's got a couple of bits there, and I said I would drop in. I'm going to drop him a text when I'm back in Newcastle next Tuesday. Cracking range of T-shirts and hoodies, Newcastle based. So again, get online there, machinehouse.com. subscribe to his mailing list, and at some point we're going to do some giveaways, and he's also going to throw up a loaded mag code that you can use on the checkout and get yourself a bit of clobber and a t-shirt. But there, hopefully he's going to have a few bits, and I'm going to bring a couple of bits back, and we'll do a couple of bits, and I'll send a couple of bits out as well to you guys when I grab them when I'm over next week, hopefully, if I get to see him. There you go.
While we're on a run, Martin, well, maybe we should tell people about a show that's, I can't even remember what day it's happening now. Okay, we'll probably be back ourselves with a show on Sunday night, so keep an eye on that. We have to talk about it yet. I can't remember, I didn't get to read all the texts, but there's a show coming next week. I just have to enable it in the system. It's ready to go, and it's special away days, and it's not for the Notts Forest game. So it's a special one. It's Battleground Europe. So what's happening is, here's the picture to go with it, is some of the regulars from away days are coming back, as in Rich Sutherland from Villa, Dan Lawless from West Ham. We have the Leicester Till I Die podcast, and we also have a new one from Wolves. So there's four podcasts joining with Loaded for away days, Battleground Europe. Pete will be back for that. Looking forward to that one. So that one should be very interesting, a different take on things as well. So a real battle for get us back into Europe. So keep an eye on that. I'll enable that in the system now as well. So that's one coming up. And there's a few more shows. I don't have them posted ready, but going into the following week, then in the run up to our game, we'll have an away days for Notts Forest, and we'll be back for a review show of that game as well later the week after that. So just to let people know what's happening. Do you want to talk about someone else?
Well, just while we're on the subject, and I know there is a mix on the panel, and I know obviously Daz and myself are here in Ireland. Oh, there you go, Jimmy. What with a good lead in halftime? France won, Germany won in the Women's Euro 2022, and so I think at this point we may as well give a shout out to the Lionesses from last night. Obviously, have made the Euro final on Sunday night. Presuming that's now going to clash with the show, Daz, if we're going out at 8 o'clock.
We'll look at that. Yeah, we might look at the time. So
people can watch the match as well. Yeah. Look, 4-0 against Sweden. Having an absolutely super Euros. Watched the back end of the game last night myself. Tough game, though, coming up on Sunday. But if somebody had offered you England against Germany at Wembley on Sunday night, I think you'd take it. So best of luck to the England girls and ladies on Sunday night. A 4-0 hammering of Sweden last night. Booked their place in the final. Sunday night, 8 o'clock is the game. So best of luck to England. And hopefully, unlike the lads, they can bring it home. So best of luck to the girls on Sunday night. Yeah, and I think that's, other than kind of waiting for Sean, it's just us boys now having a bit of general chat. He's like, I'll be on in 5 minutes. He's like the worst timekeeper.
Yeah, there's a few more topics I wanted to bring up as well.
Come on, mate.
We'll call it filler. What is going on? I moved my space.
Yeah, obviously, you're obviously in the galaxy. You've moved closer to the sun. One would imagine.
I have, yeah, it's gone crazy.
A lot of gamma rays coming down there.
Don't mess with those aliens. First of all, the away kit. The away kit gets officially released on the 29th, so in 2 days' time. So that's news broke on Instagram from Castori. Better never stops, or better never arrives.
Fakes that are out there that circulate. I put a picture up on Twitter of one of the away jerseys, and the badge is completely different. So there's a few good retailers in China who've shot their lot early, unfortunately, Newcastle. But I believe that the badge, some of the first ones that came around, the badge was actually changed quite late on from what I've seen today on a bit of Twitter. So that's quite interesting. But as I said to you boys, I'm over there next week, and I was planning on grabbing a jersey, and I'm kind of like, oh, which one do I get now? Do I get the white one, or do I get the blue away? So I'm going to go into the club shop next week when I'm over, and certainly going to have a try on and see. I'll probably end up coming out with both of them, much to the wife's delight. But yeah, looking forward to getting into the club shop and having a bit of an old try on and pick myself up a jersey while I'm over there.
Yeah. So would you see the paint job as well that's going on at St James's Park? Anyone spot that?
Yeah, I've seen them working on the front one. Yeah, they were kind of painting out the brick lines and different bits and pieces. I mean, look, Jesus, lads, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we were happy when the windows were getting cleaned, but like the inside and the outside will be looks big as bam. But obviously, I know Richie is local, but when I'm over next week and I'm having a mooch around, I'll take a few photos and send them on for the show while I'm on me kind of travels and on me hauls and stuff over the next couple of weeks. I'll take some pictures and send them on while I'm over there.
Cool.
Good man.
Yeah.
Just to let people know as well that we are on Spotify. We are also on iTunes. You can catch us there if you're ever looking for us. We just want to listen to us rather than look at us on screen. Look, we'll go to another name or two. The one that come up there as well. We spoke a bit about it, Chris. So let's go to Richie and Mart and their thoughts on Julian Draxler.
Richie, do you want to start?
I think the only thing I'd say about Draxler is, he burst on the scene really, really young when he was at Schalke, and there was a lot of interest. They turned him away quite a few of the first couple of seasons, and eventually went to Wolfsburg, which was a surprise with some of the teams that were linked with him beforehand. But he was only there the year, and obviously then PSG snapped him up. I think you look at him. There's a lot going on about the. How much he's actually going for. His wages are going to be. Some saying that he took a pay cut after he signed his last contract, so his wages still could fit him in our pay structure. The only thing for me is, what's his injury record like? I know he's a good player on his day, but obviously he has missed quite a lot of games, through injury and stuff like that. So I think that would be my only concern. But don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player when fit. But you look at the players who was ahead of him in that team, and you're not surprised he hasn't moved on earlier. To be fair, you look at the front three that they've got. Messi, the Neymar, Mbappe. Ekitike has now got in there as well, and you had Di Maria in front of them before as well, and there's a lot of people that's turned around saying he's probably more of a midfielder than what he, a winger sort of thing. So it's a weird one for me, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'd be kind of similar to you, Richie. I'm not convinced on him. Not sure he's what we need. Again, if you're purely going on, is he an improvement? Yeah, he is, but does he really fit in? Just tuned in. Well done, starting 55.
Yeah, we could repeat what's happened, but it might take a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe watch it back, Sadie, and you'll catch up on
this again.
Chris looks
what's life goes saying now?
The wrestler, not Harry. And much like the big red machine, he's a smart, articulate fellow.
Well, thank you very much, Life Goals. I mean, I haven't done a search on Big Red Machine, gotta be honest, but I'll have a look at him.
Here, hang on. We've got some breaking news. I want to get some.
Here he is.
That's your music. What? 5 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah. The longest 5 minutes. We've had to get. Do you realise how long we've had to bloody gap fill for, Casey? Holy shit balls, man.
Asher used to talking shit, Anya. You would have filled the time, wouldn't you?
That is true, yeah. That's no problem to us. Yeah, we could have gone on all night if you hadn't turned up.
It was one of those things that, when you're trying to rush and everything goes fucking wrong.
Yeah. It does. We definitely need to get better with the time. And
it's going to take ages.
Yeah, exactly. You'll have to edit the show after.
Why is he beeping out all the cursing now? Is it?
That's the new thing.
Predominantly for me, because I've been told off by a few people, and because it doesn't go out. It's pre 9 o'clock, and some people watch the show whilst their kids are in the sitting room. So I got told off for saying fuck.
You've only got 5 minutes, Mart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can make it.
Give me a heads up if you're going to course.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, Sean, what's the crack, lad?
All good now. I missed the start of the show. Kevin was on. I suppose it was I'm actually kind of delighted now that I missed the start of it, because I can go back and listen to what he had to say instead of me butchering it. But yeah, I think there was a lot of excitement today for something that was it's a natural thing, really. For me, I don't know. I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago. Things are kind of quiet. They're touching base on a lot of players. They're getting the fees and stuff like that. Like, and a couple of deals that they were looking for. For a loan with obligation and stuff like that. Like, clubs aren't playing ball with. So realistically, for this window, they're going to have to stump up a good bit up front. Even with these loan with obligation deals, like, so. What I was told about 2 weeks ago is why things are so slow is that they have no overdraft facility at the moment because they're switching banks. Obviously we've seen Amanda Stavely and the Barclays thing, that obviously didn't go down too well, and it's still lingering in the background, so she's not going to keep that as the club's bank. So from what I got kind of back then is that about 2-3 weeks ago is that the club has no overdraft facility, and basically on transfers, people forget that we footed the bill as well for the Willock deal. So when you include all that in, it's about 180, 190 million players wise that they've pumped into the club already, and then you have the facilities in as well. Like, I think they've put in about another 40 million to the running costs of the club. That's a lot of money to put in very fast into a club. Like, they're talking, say, the best part about 240, 250 million. And we don't know already what they've had to pay off Barclays and stuff like that, and what overdrafts were kind of hanging over. So that's 240 million. The club was sold for what? 320, so that's about 560 million, and you're taking Amanda Stavely at the fork up 10% of that, which is 56 million. She's probably worth about 80, so that's why a lot of the kind of transfer talk and stuff like that, and the actual moving on players slow down for a while, is because they were switching banks and that overdraft facility wasn't there. This should free things up in the sense of the overdraft facility is there, but is it the case that they've went away and they've got like 200-300 million from the bank and they're going to splash the cash on big players? Absolutely not. Like, this is just kind of to tie a moment to tie them over, because it's a moment in time. We're not where we wanted to be with the sponsors because of Fun 88, basically. And I might have tweeted today about that. They've basically were kind of logjam with that, in the sense of, I know there's a lot of rumors about the shirt sponsorship, the Steve one being around the 7 million mark. I think that's what they were pushing it about at, because there was, how would you say, calculated leaks as such, that they were putting out there that they were looking for 7 million for the sleeve sponsorship, and they were in around the 21, 22, 23 million mark for the short sponsorship itself. But again, they couldn't agree a realistic deal with Fun to actually end the sponsorship. So now we're in a position where we're stuck with Fun. The Premier League actually don't really have a structure in place of how they can measure what Newcastle are worth sponsorship wise. And what we have to realize as well as fans is that we love Newcastle. Newcastle is fantastic, but our support is all home support. Outside of the Northeast, and you have one or two fellas there like myself and Daz and Martin, they're scattered all over in Ireland that follow the club. Like, we have no brand. And I tweeted there last week about you have to become a brand on the pitch before you become a brand off the pitch. So they are looking at players that they can bring in, like big players that sell jerseys and stuff like that and appeal to the American market. The new CEO coming in and stuff like that. Like, that's going to be his job to crack. We have a team now of Al-Sawar he's going to be the one that's going to try to crack the market in the Middle East. Now you have Darren Eales that's in as well. He's going to try to crack the market in America, and it's up to the likes of Rubens and Amanda Stavely and stuff like that, like, to do it around England and Europe. Today's news, I think, really is, it's a moment. It's one of these things where they were switching banks. The club's revenue, basically what they get on tickets and short sales and stuff like that, that's just, it's guarantor. That if things go tits up and if the PIF pull out in the morning, and what we have to realize as well is that it's not the Rubens that are at the buying the 10%, it's Jamie Rubin. So he only has a fraction of the Rubens' wealth. So if everything goes tits up in the morning and Amanda Stavely, PIF pull out, and Amanda Stavely and the Rubens are left there kind of holding the fort, that's just the bank kind of having, look, if they can't pay back what they owe us, we can take their match day revenue or whichever for years more forward. So it will free up the window in the sense of it gives them an overdraft facility, because what people have to realize is that whatever we invest of the owner's money has to be matched by 10% by Stavely. And as a commercial side, people forget that like Newcastle on a commercial level, training grounds, all this kind of stuff. We're a basic championship team. You know, we have nothing coming in. You know, we're treading water, like, you know. So, do they push ahead with sponsorships now when the Premier League are saying, "Oh, but fun, we're only giving you 6.5 million"? You know, and I know people might think, "Jesus Christ, a professional company, they'd never do something like that." You know, there's assessors and all this kind of stuff. Premier League is run by people that fell into a job and friend of a friend and all this kind of stuff. Like it's not run by professionals. So at the moment, you know, with sponsorships and stuff like that, I think that they're kind of pulling back a little bit on it because they're going to wait until they can score the sponsorship properly, have a good strong season, and then next year they can say, look, fun or gone now, we've qualified for Europe, or, you know, we've done a tour of Saudi Arabia and it's after getting this much traction and we've done this, this, and this. You know, there's a reason they're putting a legal team in place. You know, not many clubs has a legal team like Newcastle are going to have. You know, they have Darren Eales coming in, they have that chap Bruce is due to come in as well soon. You know, so they're putting a lot of structures in place there to build up more the side of the club, you know. It's funny, I said last week there, I done this random spaces thing on Twitter. I didn't know how it was going to work. I ended up there was like 1,300 people watching or something like that. And lads, it's an absolute nightmare to navigate because I was on my
listening to you, mate.
My AirPods went dead halfway through it, so I was trying to talk into the phone, and you have to keep on refreshing the phone to try to bring speakers in and stuff like that. Ah, fuck it! Like I don't think I'd ever try it again, you know, because I rarely get I don't really get the chance to kind of do YouTube channels and all this kind of stuff, like, you know. So trying to actually get on and stuff like that and get the time is tough. So I said I could probably do a spaces once a week, you know, because you put out a tweet and like, I'll be honest with you, like I put out a tweet and I put no thought into it. I kind of get it as I say it and I put it out there, and then there's a million different types of interpretations of it, and I come back to it and I'm like, fuck it, I'm not even getting into the weeds on this one. Like I've learned my lesson, you know. So I said I do the spaces thing and see how it works, but by God, it's a hard thing to work, like, you know. So I might do a few cameos in this here and there.
Sean, can I throw a name or two at you?
You can.
Yeah, well, I'll throw the names you threw at us.
Yeah.
We were speaking about them. First off, Pulisic.
We were using them because we weren't sure if you were coming or not.
Yeah, so look, like with Pulisic, look like they've definitely touched base on it. I think between the clubs, I think that they know that they can find a deal. You know, it's maybe a loan, probably 5 million up front, 2025. You know, is what we value, Matt. They're saying again around the 35 million mark, but again, it's all negotiable. Whether it's a straight deal or whether it's going to be a loan obligation. But I think the player will need a bit of convincing. You know, so I think that's what might kind of halt that deal a little bit. You know, but look, they've touched base and I know a lot of people will say you've put out 50 names, 60 names, and all this kind of stuff. You know, some fella DM'd me the other day and fuck me, he put someone to work into it. Like, you know, I was going to tweet it, but I was like, you're going to get destroyed. Like, he went onto NUFC.com, I know their rumors page.
Yeah.
And he basically picked all the rumors, you know, and the date that it was released in the paper and the date that I actually linked their names to it. And there was about 35 players and I had them like weeks in advance, like, you know. But that's how clubs work. Like, you know, like they might have 5 or 6 players in one position and they could be spinning plates on those 5 players up until they actually make a decision, you know. So it's kind of like top, middle, lower, you know, and what makes best sense, you know. So for now, with the right wing position, the striker position, and they're definitely looking for a holding midfielder, they can't just bring in somebody as a stopgap because they've already brought in kind of too many stepping stone players, and it's something that they wanted to stay away from as much as possible. You know, players that are on the wrong side of 25, you know, they like, you know, your Trippiers, your Popes, Chris Wood, you know, Dan Burn, all these players, they're not players that they essentially wanted to bring in because the simple fact of they're the wrong side of 25, there's no value in them, you know, and they took big money and they took money up front as well, like, you know. I seen that there about Edwards being right about the budget. There is no budget, you know. They're absolutely flexible in the market, and when you say there is no budget, it's not a case that they're going to go out and throw money everywhere. Like if Diaby was all in on 50 million, they would have done the deal. You know, simple as that. But the fact is, he wanted to wait. You know, he has interest from PSG and Real Madrid and this kind of stuff. Like, why go to Newcastle now and take a risk? It's a huge risk. You know, how many players came from the Bundesliga and flopped? You know, Timo Werner, a player that's strongly linked with Newcastle at the moment. You know, like why would he come? Like, why would Diaby come and possibly have a slow start, miss out in the French squad, value drops, confidence knocked, you know, and it could put him back a year or two. He can stay with Leverkusen. He knows he's banging goals in the Bundesliga and playing the Champions League and guarantee his ticket on the plane for the French squad. You know, and like it's not as if he has to jump at the opportunity to play for Newcastle when there's so many other teams there, you know. So a lot of players are just waiting, you know, and that's kind of what's slowing down the market as well. What people have to realise is that we're not shopping like Nottingham Forest or shopping or West Ham or any of these clubs where you're going to have the players that nobody's interested in. So you can just say, look, here's 20 million. They say, yeah, no bother, let's do the deal. We're going after players that are knocking on the door of the likes of Arsenal, AC Milan, Barcelona. You know, we're after premium top class players in around the 24, 25 mark that are very close to kind of getting to that peak stage. These things take time, you know, and players aren't going to jump at the opportunity to sign early in the window. Like, so from what I've got is that the owners feel like that they're exactly where they wanted to be in the transfer market now. Granted, they probably would have liked to have another one in, you know, but the way the market's unfolded, you know, it's 100% real, and people are saying that, okay, look, people are quoting unrealistic prices and Newcastle tax. The Newcastle tax is 100%. You know, and that's been deadly honest with you. Alexander Isak, and I know I said it a few times, but it was a deal that was being done with Spurs, and basically he was on the back burner for Kane going, and the deal that they agreed was 37 million, and then there was a couple of clauses, obviously, like, you know, you get Champions League, you get a couple of goals, and it's an extra couple of million here and there. Newcastle came in and was like, yeah, we want 55 million up front, you know, and then the player was saying, can I have 160 grand? You know, this kind of stuff, like, you know, so we're getting quoted ridiculous prices, and the owners are kind of sitting back now and they're thinking, okay, West Ham, their business is done really for big players. Arsenal's business is done. City are done. Liverpool are done. United are looking like they're done. You know, and a couple of big clubs across Europe. No, Newcastle are sitting there on a pot of cash and we're on the driving seat. Now these teams like Lyon and the likes of Leicester and Everton and stuff like that, they need to move one or two players out if they're going to support a manager and bring in another couple of players. So Newcastle are there now with the cash in hand, waiting to do a deal. You know, so we are where we are in the transfer market, and it was kind of expected as well.
Cool. Okay. How about this guy? Chris, say his name again.
Peter. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, so he's been offered around a couple of clubs at the moment, and he's definitely been offered to Newcastle. And it's a player that we've watched for a long time before as well, you know, in around before his time that he moved to AC Milan, and even when he left AC Milan, they were looking at it as well. But Hertha Berlin offered him a great move. But again, you know, it's another one that's been offered, and they're kind of keeping the name on the back burner because they have top targets that they believe that when it goes down into the weeds of the window, that they will be able to pull out the bag, you know. But he'd be very much a backup option. I think he's a good option. I know he's had a bad maybe 2 years, you know, but there's definitely a player there in him, you know. But the targets haven't changed really, you know. When they done these project papers back in 2.5, 3 years ago, you know, the names of Timo Werner, Sven Botman, you know, Diaby, these players were all on it. The targets have stayed exactly the same. You know, I know Dan Ashworth now has come in and he's brought his own spin on it as well. Like, you know, I know a lot of people will say that Anthony Gordon was just agent talk and all this kind of stuff, and his agent pushing for a move. You're quick, Des. Jesus Christ almighty, it's like you're reading my mind.
Yeah, well, he is a Vulcan.
But like with Anthony Gordon, you know, Ashworth and his agents, they have a fantastic relationship, and he is very much a player that Newcastle rate very highly. Eddie Howe rates him highly, Dan Ashworth rates him highly, and if there's a deal there to be done, they'll do it. You know, again, something's going to give with Everton. You know, I know they sold the Charles and stuff like that, like, but their accounts are absolutely frightening, and the stadium is still not finished. You know, like if they get off to a slow start in the season or in around relegation, which they will be with Lampard, you know, they're going to be in a terrible position. So I think the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin or even Anthony Gordon and stuff like that, you know, they give the line of, we tried to keep him, but we needed to move him on to kind of add this and this, like, you know. But it's always they'll always get the hands off approach first before they break the fans' heart, like, you know. But I can understand as well, you know, some fans, like, you know, like, they're very frustrated and they're watching the games and they're saying, we need a centre midfielder, we need a striker, we need a right winger. You know, and it's this whole nonsense of don't tag the owners. Why fucking not? Like, we're past 9 o'clock, so we're grand, I can say that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's our football club. You know, we're the right. You know, it's our football club. You know, we are the customers, and they're on social media and they're looking for feedback. You know, if the fans aren't happy or if they want to voice their opinion, let them voice their opinion once it's respectful. You know, like it's our football club forever. You only have one football club. Like, these owners are just passing through. You know, I absolutely love them. I think they're fantastic for the club and stuff like that. Like, but they're just passing through. It's a project for them. You know, so if we're not happy with how something is kind of unfolding, and the Castoria stuff, like, you know, I spoke to a fella who was getting a bit animated on online. And he was talking about Castoria and stuff like that, and he tagged the owners, and he got a load of abuse and stuff like this. And I DM'd him, like, I was just kind of like, there's no need to even try and argue your point or whatever like that. And exactly what he said to me is that he goes, I don't earn a lot of money. He said, I have 3 kids. He said, I went away, I ordered the kits for me and my 3 kids. And he said, it actually took up most of my wage for 2 weeks to do it. And that was about 6 weeks ago, and I still haven't seen the jersey. So he said, they're not coming out and being clear with us, and there's no communication on the situation with Castoria from anybody at the club, you know. So that's taking essentially, like, you know, you're taking kind of bread off a man's table, really, like, in that sense, you know, because like he's forking out huge money on these kids for himself and his kids, and he has 0 feedback, millions of phone calls and messages and stuff like this. Like, so of course, if he's not getting feedback from Castoria and nobody from the club is coming out voicing their concerns, of course he's going to tag the owners on Twitter. You know, they need to know. To me, like, a lot of fans are in the same position where they're struggling financially and they're paying fucking ridiculous money for a football kit and getting upside down fucking crests and all this kind of stuff. Fuck.
That does it into Morse code now at this stage.
You know, so
I've got Stu Penman on the line.
But your point, the thing, like I have been fighting I was fighting Sean for the last five and a bit weeks to get the alternate jersey sent, and last week my order was cancelled. Sorry, we can't fulfill your order. Cancelled. You'll get a refund. Could be 7 to 10 days. Now, luckily, I got a direct email to the team leader of customer services in Castoria, and I emailed him. Now, in fairness, didn't expect a reply. I thought, this guy's probably got emails coming out of his backside. No, I see. I'm gonna swear. Yeah, I see. I have you.
I'm ready.
Out of his fucking backside. But too late. But in fairness, and I won't name the guy, but I'll give him his credit. I got a response from Castoria directly from the guy, and he said, "Listen, so sorry, not the outcome we wanted. We're having big issues. When, you know, some of us are not even internally are getting updates, all this kind of stuff. I can only apologize. I know it's tainted your view of us as a company. Now, okay, it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what he wanted. They lost the sale. I didn't get a jersey. But, you know, fans do have the right to kick off. You know, fans have the right to have a bit of a twist and, you know, have a bit of a moan. As you said, it's hard-earned money. You know, harder in particular when you're dealing with a company, if you do not live in the country that, you know, where Richie is, that you can just pop in and grab something. So
absolutely,
you know, they have a right. You know, I think there's some stuff now. In fairness, I tagged Jamie Rubin on last night after the match, after the Benfica match, and I went, "Wow, Miggy's on fire. We don't need a right winger now. Can we just have Paqueta?" And somebody sent me a DM and said, "Your YouTube channel's not bad, but stop embarrassing yourself." And I was like, I DM'd him back, and I just went, "Get the fuck!" Like, I'm just having it's a bit of banter with the owners. You know, they both do it backwards and forwards. And I'm going to keep going. Between me and Sean, your button's going to blow up.
But
so I don't think there's any harm in kind of tagging them every now and again if it's respectful and it's a bit of fun or whatever else.
Absolutely, if it's respectful, you know, do it. You know, it's like they're on social media and they're providing a direct line for fans. So if you think we need a right winger, say, "Look, I think we need a right winger." You know, what's the big deal in it? You know, they lent on the fans to push through the takeover. Do you get me? Like, they wanted all our opinions when the takeover was to go through. Now the takeover's gone through, and now we're not allowed to give our opinion. You know, if you're not happy with something, obviously be respectful about it. But absolutely, you know, tag them if you want to tag them. You know, what a load of fucking nonsense. Like, they're hardly going to say, "Oh yeah, that's it. Casey Sean 51 is after saying that we need to sign a right winger. Let's sell the club." You know, I'm sick of this stuff on Twitter. Pack up the bags, tell PIF we're gone. You know, fuck's sake, like, you know, I'm sorry, no, like, you know, but like, give us the, like.
Did you curse there, Sean? Sorry.
No,
sorry.
I didn't.
Okay, sorry.
So give a head a shake, like, you know, if you want to tag the owners, you know, they take it's feedback as customer service. That's the way I look at it, you know.
Exactly.
And that's
So,
it with the honest stuff.
Who are the names then, Sean? Because I'm sure people will be sitting here tenterhooks listening, going, listen, these two are just swearing and we're getting nowhere here.
I'm hearing talk of people want to know about Lucas Paqueta, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah. So give us some inside, you know, the regular names that we've been hearing. So the Timo Werners, the Paquetas, the Harvey Barnes. Any traction on anything? Where do you think things are at with anybody at the minute?
So and I know it's a very comfortable thing to say for someone like me. Like, and people will say, Jesus, sure, that could be anybody. Something that I've got from people, and this is multiple people, because like I have all the sources, of course, like, you know, so all the sauces, yeah. But basically, what somebody what people keep on saying is that they have an ace up the sleeve. Who it is, I don't have a clue. You know, I could guess that it's Paqueta or someone like that. Like, but the general feeling around the club and by people kind of outside the club is that they have an ace up the sleeve. You know, and there's going to be someone before the end of the window that's going to be a surprise. You know, I was told kind of for the rest of the window, everything that does drop in is going to be a surprise, in the sense of it's not going to be a case of, oh, they've agreed a deal, he's expected to come from medical, it'll just drop. You know, where are they with deals? You know, again with Paqueta, it's something that's bubbling along in the background. You know, it's a deal that they would love to do now. You know, but they're trying to press on a right winger. You know, Diaby, he kind of wants to stay where he is. Harvey Barnes, they've absolutely 100% inquired about Harvey Barnes. You know, I've said that a couple of weeks ago. Kind of a few whispers today that they made an official inquiry about him. They've made an official inquiry about Pulisic. You know, with Jack Harrison, I know a lot of people are talking about Jack Harrison and saying there's definitely a done deal and stuff like that, you know, and they're going to go again. What I got in Harrison was that it was an inquiry that was basically turned into a transfer saga. You know, they thought that, okay, if they think it's a deal that they could do easy enough, that outside of Leeds' bravado about prices and stuff like that, you know, they think that if they offered if they went straight up with the money of the 20-25 million, that they'd accept it. And they look at Harrison as a player that, okay, he could come in and he could tie us over in a sense until January or till the summer, until we can get the legs for the Abbey and stuff like that, because they will go for the Abbey again, you know. And then if they do, you know, Harrison can play right midfield, left midfield, he can play left wing back and left back, you know. So it's not a case of just signing him and he's going to be our right winger. You know, if they can't get the right winger that they want, they might look at somebody that can play a multitude of positions and that can tie down the right wing spot just until January or until the summer, until those top targets become available. You know, but for now, in the right wing position, they're definitely looking at Harvey Barnes and definitely looking at Pulisic.
You had mentioned, Sean, I think I saw it yesterday evening or Monday evening, and I saw Alan Mathis put it in the chat as well. Who is the mystery right winger that hasn't been talked about yet in the media?
Pulisic.
Pulisic was the one. Okay, so that's okay. Cool.
Yeah. So again, you know, and like there's a confidence around Tielemans as well, like, you know, for that.
Deadly.
You know, I know it sounds unrealistic, but they'll push the ball out from him. You know, if United sign Frankie de Jong, the feeling is now that Arsenal probably won't go for him. You know, they've got in Zinchenko, who can play left back when Tierney's fit in. He can start into centre midfield. You know, they've went in on Vieira and stuff as well like that. Like, so they're not too keen on going all in on Tielemans now, and Tielemans wants to move. You know, so in that sense, he's not 100% against the move to Newcastle. You know, and if United fully drop out, because they're kind of keeping it open at the moment with Frankie de Jong stuff, and if Arsenal fully drop out, the only club in England that are offering him a chance is Newcastle, and he wants to stay in England. You know, and he's intrigued by the project. So, you know, he's getting to come to Newcastle and play in midfield with Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton, you know, two fantastic players, you know, so it might just appeal to him, you know, and that's why they're keeping that transfer open. They could have done, like, Newcastle could close their transfer window right now if they wanted to. You know, they could go in, they could sign Sasa Kladnic, for example, they could sign Maxwell Cornet, and then for the holding position, they could go in, they could get that young lad Torre there from Metz or someone like that. Like, you know, they've been offered hundreds of players, and they could have done a deal now, and they could have got players in that would be an instant upgrade. Shamaka that just went to West Ham, they could have done the deal for him, instant upgrade. but they have their number one targets and they still feel like they're going to get them. Jimmy, so that's why they haven't kind of, and a lot of people kind of, you see people saying, they should have just get Cornet in and stuff like that. Like, he's not the top target, and their top target is still available in their eyes, so they're going to wait. You know, so they're very patient and they feel like they're in the driving seat. You know, so they're in a good place. I think we're in a very good place in the transfer window. You know, and all the messages that are coming out there are saying that they're in a very good place. They're exactly where they want to be. They would have wanted another player in. They wanted another striker in by now. And I know all the moves were done on right wingers and stuff like that. But you know, if you watch Callum Wilson play, you know, I think he's a fantastic goal scorer, but he doesn't bring other players into play. You know, it's yesterday you watch, it was like the front three kind of played in isolation. They didn't play off each other. ASM, Wilson and Alman, very rarely they link up. You know, they don't hold any possession. They're not great in possession really, and I think a lot of it kind of falls apart because of Wilson. You know, I rate him very highly. I think he's a fantastic player, but he's not the kind of player that you play in a 4-3-3 when you're kind of pressing high and you want your forward line to hold on to the ball, because he wants to turn and score every time.
Sorry, I'm still watching all the Spock jokes come through, so I decided to change the spaceship.
I was typing, so sorry.
Okay. Cool. What about I saw a few names again, and no one has talked about this guy, and I can't pronounce his name. Kaladin Sumantra. I suppose he's one of the kind of left wingers that 5 or 6 of them all talked about in the one day or over 2 or 3 days. Any talk about this guy, or even Lang? It was mentioned as well. So there's a clutch of left wingers altogether. Is that just all agent talk, or is there any kind of substance to that?
The thing at the moment is that agents are leaking stuff to the media, right? And the media have nobody to bounce this off because the club aren't answering. You know, so when they're touching base on players and they're saying, "Look, are you interested in this?" Is it's a no comment. You know, this NDA thing with the Newcastle is definitely real. So what agents and what journalists and stuff like that are doing is they're putting out to the public, and hopefully they're getting a denial. You know, you might remember their kind of backlash and stuff like that. Like, you see a transfer rumor will come out, and straight away, you know, it'd be Leroy or someone that would come out and say the club have denied this. They're not denying anything. You know, so now journalists, you know, and I have great respect for journalists, they're circling the drain in the sense of they're just leaking information directly from agents without kind of getting clarification from the club and stuff like that, and that's just how quiet it is. Like,
okay, so we're going to some questions for the last kind of 5 minutes because we're crashing towards 2 hours here and conscious of time for everyone else. So Richie or Chris, have we got a few questions?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, there's a couple of people saying about I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. We also discussed it briefly last week. Is there any rumours in the Belotti at all, Sean?
No, not that I've seen of. Belotti had one good season. Since then, he's been terrible. You know, like he's bang average, like, and that would be scraping the bottom of the barrel with the targets that they're looking at the moment. Don't get me wrong, like he'd probably do a Chris Woodnow sign in the morning, but he's way down the list if he's even on the list. Like, you know, I was told it's a no interest kind of thing, but you know, you never know getting into the last days of the window. And if they don't get who they want, they might bring somebody in just to kind of beef up the squad a bit. But no, he's not someone they're looking at.
I'd say he's ahead of this guy, though. Ahead of this guy, definitely.
Absolutely. You know, the 3 strikers that are top of the list, and it hasn't changed really since Christmas, is you have Sesko, you have DCL, and you have Isaac. You know, with Sesko, they held talks with the agent last week, like, you know, and they basically sold the project to him. You know, will he move now? Or I don't think he'll move this window. You know, like Salzburg are telling people if they're going to do a deal now, they'll want him back on loan for the season because they've already sold their other striker to Borussia Dortmund. So it'd be unlikely that he'll move now unless a team absolutely shit the bed, like a Manchester United or something like that, and pay fucking 60 million for him or something like that, like, you know, way over the odds. But shit the bed isn't bad. They, you know, and that's it really. But look, with Sesko and Sucic, you know, these are 2 players that they watched for a very long time, but their prices got massively inflated, you know. But again, look, absolutely still talks ongoing, and the same with Isaac as well. Like, you know, Isaac is the one that across the board everybody 100% wants him in, you know. But Real Sociedad made a deal very unrealistic, very fast, like, you know, whereas the club thought they were actually kind of making ground on the deal.
Okay.
Is there anything in the rumours about Timo Werner today, like possible loan with obligation to buy, option to buy?
It's definitely an option. Like, and the club would absolutely love to get him in, like, you know. But again, like, it's a huge structure in the deal, and there's a lot of convincing the player because he's a lot of interest in, you know, he's interested by other clubs in England and Spain, Germany, everywhere, you know. So like, we'd really be fighting tooth and nail to get him in, like, and it's how much of the wages Newcastle or Chelsea are going to pay. They're not going to bring him in and pay him, is he on 250, 260 grand? They'd have to subsidise the wages by about 60%, and they're already doing that for Lukaku, you know. But one thing I would say though is Todd, is it the Chelsea new owner there? You know, he's trying to blow a hole in this whole this top six cartel kind of nonsense, and he's opening the door to all clubs. You know, so it'd be interesting to see how that unfolds. Like, you know, and he definitely would do business with Newcastle, but it's kind of what percentage of the wages that we take. Like.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how it goes. Like, there's a couple left. L Stapler wants to know: do you think they may go back for Diaby, or do you think he's committed to Leverkusen now for the rest of the season?
Look, I wouldn't rule it out, you know, but it's just kind of Leverkusen don't want to lose him, you know, and he doesn't want to move. We'd really have to, like, if it was around 50 million, we do the deal, but they're talking 50, 60, 70 million, like, you know, clauses that are absolutely crazy. Like, you know, if he kicks the ball forward 3 times in a game, gives us 5 million kind of nonsense, like, you know. But look, it's not something I can see happening. The fee is unrealistic, and it's not unrealistic because we're not ambitious. It'd be unrealistic for Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City to pay the money from. You know, what they're looking for is fucking crazy. Like,
I've got one off Jimmy. He wants to know: have you heard anything in regards to the rumours that Tottenham want Maxi? Newcastle will be happy to let him go, but need cover first.
Absolutely zero truth in it. There is no interest in St. Maximin from any club. St. Maximin, and trust me, you'll see in a couple of weeks, St. Maximin is not leaving Newcastle. Let's just leave it at that, and we see how things unfold in the next couple of weeks. But St. Maximin is not losing, and I seen the report there today by L'Equipe as well about Spurs and these teams being in for Paqueta. It's funny, like, it's kind of, everybody thinks Newcastle are kind of immediate cash rich in the sense of this loan, and then Leon leak a load of clubs are interested in Paqueta. Like, it's kind of funny, you know. It's a desperation plea. Like, you know, I got sent it by somebody kind of well placed, and they were like, it was like talk about desperation, and it was the article kind of attached to the DM. I was like, fucking hell, like, Spurs never made a bid for him, Jack. No, definitely not. Fuck.
I think they might have. Daz, get the bleep button ready for this question, because I've got a feeling you might need it for this one. But Simon wants to know: Sean, where's your t-shirt?
I literally just got in the door and opened the laptop and jumped on the show, so I didn't have time to get changed.
Fair enough.
That was
what else, Richie? A couple of shout outs I think we got there, have we?
Yeah,
before we close out?
Well, Ken's kept Daz and everyone a bit occupied, so he wants a shout out from Daz and their Bart.
No, it's not happening. Fair play to you, Ken. Yeah, very good. I'll make sure I'll clip the part where you said my wife was a MILF, and I will show her later on. Fair play to you, buddy.
Shout out to Ray for the super sticker early on, much appreciated, Ray.
Cheers, Ray,
as did Charles with his donation as well. Always appreciated. Thank you very much for all the support that you give a channel. And also to John Elliott, who's become a member. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thanks, John. Much appreciated, mate.
John as well.
And that's it from me.
That's it. Okay. All right.
I'll just wrap up there. So before we go, look, just a quick one for the fans. I know there's a bit of anxiety and stuff like that kind of come to the end of the window, but whoa, that's fucking close. Fuckity, fuck. Yeah. So look, I think we're in a fantastic position in the transfer window, and I definitely think that they'll bring in a right winger or an alternative, and they'll bring in a striker and a holding midfielder as well. So I think we'll definitely get another 3 players. A couple of more youth players will come in, but we're on a fantastic place in the window so far, so there's definitely no stress and no need to worry.
Anyone before Forest, Sean?
I think so. I was thinking that there might be a leak probably on Friday. I'm not going to jump into the name right here that, because these things can change in a phone call and anything like that. Like, you know, and I've learned my lesson with deadlines. You know, the takeover was going to happen next week for about 3 years for me. You know, but look, I was told something probably leak on Friday or in around Friday. Let's see.
Right before our holidays, Martin. It'd be nice.
Yep, that'd be perfect. Yeah, exactly. All right. On that note,
I think Chris has got some breaking news, but Chris, I can't find it, mate. So you'll have to put it up yourself.
He's on
He's
mute.
on mute
You're on
again.
mute.
Oh.
The news is he doesn't still know what to do with the button.
Jesus. Sorry, guys. No, our baby's watching the show and she's asked me to put her picture on the screen. Oh, where is it? I just had it. Hang on, wait there. Let me load it on.
You switched it to the other one, maybe. Here.
I might have done. Yeah, she's tuning in and she was like, Dad, put me on the.
I have it for you here, Chris.
Have you got it? Go on, Dad. I'll let you do it, mate. There she is. Watching the lads.
Somewhere. Nice TV.
Yeah, I tell you what. Yeah, where'd you steal that from? Tell you what, you do all right for a bin dipper, lad. Yes, some front room. You must have a few painter and decorators and all, do you?
We need to decorate. Actually, that's a new cabinet, but we need to decorate. So I'll send you the picture.
Commission's working well.
Very nice.
I feel really bad for the Corson now.
Yeah.
No,
it's all right. It's after 9. If not, you should be in bed. Exactly. All right, boys. We're 2 hours in. Still 532 people watching. Listen, massive thanks. Smash those likes.
Thank you.
Make sure you are subscribed. As Daz said, we got more. It was a mishmash tonight, to be fair.
It was a great show. It was a great show.
Yeah, not often do I sit in the hot chair. Obviously, normally on the FLTS, it is Pete who is enjoying himself out in Turkey with Lee and the family and stuff. So we hope he's having a good time out there. We'll be back, as Daz said, at the weekend. We'll work out the times, obviously, because the Euro final is on. I am away on some holidays. I'm back in Newcastle next week, Tuesday through to Thursday. I will be outside St. James's on Thursday morning signing autographs and enabling those fans who wish to come and smell my breath. But I'll be kicking around. But yeah, look, if you see me out and about, I'll be out in Newcastle on Tuesday night, and I'll be floating around. If you do see me and you watch the channel, give us a shout and or a punch in the face, whatever suits.
Just Mark, before we close, make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Make sure you hit that like button. And as Martin has previously said, do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
You know what to do.
Exactly, yeah. Sean has, like I said, mine is do the right thing.
Hey, look at this comment from Ken Charlton. Look at this.
Sorry.
Question for you, Mark.
What was that? I tell you what, Ken, if you go into the club shop when I'm over and you buy my shirt, I will get her to give you a breath.
On that note, I think it's time
I think it's time to go. Listen, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to Kieran Maguire for coming on. Thanks for Sean for coming on last minute. And always great, as usual, with the loaded lads. We'll be back on at some point over the weekend. I'm on the halls. Pete will be back, but we'll see you all at a later date. Have a good evening, and we'll catch you all soon. Richie,
live long and prosper. Good luck.
Prosper.